Hello everyone, welcome back to my digital diaries. This is the Content SDK's new video. Quick question for you: if you have opened a Sitecore Content SDK project, you have probably seen two files sitting right at the root folder. One is Sitecore config.ts and another Sitecore CLI.config.ts. Now here is the thing. A lot of developers open these files, get little confused and just leave them alone. But today we are going to break both these down for you. Along with that, we are also going to see component map files. Before moving ahead to this video, I am requesting you watch this video till the end. If you like it, click on a like button, do share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing to the channel. So let's get into these files. Let's start with sitecore.config.ts file. So this is the file content. Think of it like this. Every Content SDK application needs to know few basic things before it can even start. Which Sitecore instance should I connect to? What's my default size? What language should I use if nothing else is specified? Sitecore.config.ts is the file that answers all of that. Sitecore's own documentation call it, and I'm simplifying here, the central configuration point for your whole application is this file. It lives right in your app's root folder and it replaced the old runtime config that used to get generated automatically under src-temp in the older JSS SDK. So in short, if JSS had a config that got auto-generated during build, Content SDK now gives you one clean, hand-editable file. You are in control of that. So what is the purpose of this file? So what the actual purpose of this file? There are three things. So you can see the sample config file also. Here is the sample config file which you can configure. They have given. This is the default one and this is a sample one. So number one, connection. It tells your app how to talk to your Sitecore AI instance, whether that could be SaaS instance using Edge or local instance running in Docker. Number two, behavior control. Things like should redirect work, should multi-site be enabled, should personalization run, all of that lives here. Number three, defaults and fallback. So your default site, your default language, your editing secret, the app falls back to this when nothing more specific is provided. And here is a nice touch. Almost every property in this file has a matching environment variable. So if a value isn't set directly in the file, Content SDK checks your .environment file and only after that it fall back to a built-in default. That gives you a lot of flexibility across dev, staging and production. So let's talk about the major configurations here. The major section you actually work with. First, the API object. If you see here in the sample, you have an API object. This is where you connect either through a Edge for a cloud Sitecore AI instance using things like context ID and Edge URL, or through local for a Docker based setup using API key and API host. You pick one, not both. Second is a default size. So default site and default language. Simple but important, especially if you are running multi-site setup. These are very important. Third is the service configurations. This covers your layout service, your dictionary service, including local memory caching and retries, which automatically retries failed GraphQL calls using an exponential backup. That one's a lifesaver when your connection to Sitecore Edge gets little shaky. And fourth is the middleware related settings, redirect, multi-site and personalize. These control features that under the hood are powered by Next.js middleware. Now let's see how it actually works. Imagine you are building a website for a retail client. Let's call it as a skate park store, and it hosted on a Sitecore AI's cloud. Your config file will set api.h.context ID to the unique ID Sitecore gives you for that the environment file. So default site to skate-park store and default language to EM. Now suppose the client is running a flash sale and marketing wants personalized banners for returning visitors. You would simply set personalize enable to true and maybe increase personalize age timeout if your personalization calls are timing out. One file and you are controlling connections, defaults and business features all in one place. Now let's talk about sitecore.cli.config.ts file. If sitecore.config.ts is about how your app runs, then sitecore.cli.config.ts is about how your app gets built. This file configures the Content SDK command line tool, the CLI, and it replaces the old build time and dev tool script that JSS used to rely on. Its main purpose is to define build commands, things like generate metadata, generate sites, extract files, and write import map. Plus the component map which tells Content SDK exactly which folders to scan for your React component. So this is the component map. So in the real world, how it works, your sitecore.cli.config.ts will import your main config using scconfig. Then define a build block running generate metadata, generate site, extract file, and write import map for your src/components folder. Now say your team is using Shadency and UI components alongside your Sitecore components. You will simply add an exclude entry here inside a component map so the CLI doesn't try to register your UI library as Sitecore components. So quick recap. Sitecore.config.ts controls how your app runs and connects. Sitecore.cli.config.ts controls how your app gets built and how components get registered. Two files, two very different jobs. Together, they are the backbone of every Content SDK project. In our last part, we talked about sitecore.config.ts and sitecore.cli.config.ts. Now let's go one level deeper into the file that actually connects your React component to Sitecore content, the component map, and that file is within your Sitecore folder .sitecore. This is your main code .sitecore folder outside the src. These two files are there. Now if you are using the app router in the Content SDK, you will actually see two of these files. Right now if you see, there are two files, component map.ts and component map.client.ts. Why two? Stick till the end, you will know the answer. So let's start simple. What exactly is the component map file? So this is our component map file. Think of it as a registry, a big list that connect two worlds. One side you have a Sitecore content, the renderings that your content editors add to a page using Sitecore AI pages. On other hand, you have your actual React component code sitting in the src component. The component map is what tells Content SDK, hey, when Sitecore sends back a rendering called title, render it using this React component. So if you see here, without that link, Sitecore has no idea which piece of a code to use for which content block. And here is something very important. Unlike the old JSS SDK where the components got registered automatically, Content SDK asks you to be explicit. Every component either gets added to this map manually or generated into it automatically by the CLI. So what this file actually doing for you? Number one, it enables visual editing for a component to show up and be editable inside Sitecore AI page builder. It must exist in this map, no entry, no editing. Number 2, it powers tree shaking. Since every component is explicitly listed, anything not in this map simply doesn't get bundled into your production build. That keeps your app lean. The third point is it's a breach for layout rendering. When your apps call Sitecore and get back layout data, Content SDK loops through each rendering in that response and look it up in the component map to decide what to actually render on the page. Now comes to the original question which we had, why two files? Component map.ts versus component-map.cli.ts. Now here is the interesting part. If you are on app router template, Content SDK generates two component maps by default. So if you see this solution, it is basically the app router we are using. Okay, so that's the reason we have two files here. So component-map.ts include all components, both server and client, and it's used in your server side code like layout.tsx, where the page first renders on the server. Whereas component-map.client.ts includes only client components, the one marked with use client. So if you come here, any component, if you take, see this navigation.tsx file, you have a use client here, and that is exist in your client.ts. So component map.client.ts includes only client component, the one marks with a use client, and it's used basically in client side code like inside the Design Studio live preview. Why we are splitting them into simple: bundle size and safety. If a server only component accidentally ended up in a client bundle, you could ship server logic straight to the browser, which is both wasteful and risky also. Keeping this separate means client bundles stay lean and server only code never leaks out. One more thing worth knowing here is if you are on the page routers instead of app router, you don't need to worry about this split at all. Page router projects generate just the single component map.ts file unless you are specially forced dual maps yourself. Now both these files are generated by the CLI and the generation behavior is configured back in sitecore.cli.config.ts inside the component map block. You control things like paths, which folder to scan, typically src/components your components are reside. So you control exclude folders to skip, maybe your shared CI folder or Content SDK's own internal auxiliary component. And there is a flag called client component map. This let you force dual maps even on page routers or force just a single map even on app router. So these also include variant by default set to true, which automatically pulls in component variant like promo block alongside their base component. One more thing before we wrap up, most of the time you will let the CLI auto generate both these files using commands. But for advanced cases like Next.js dynamic imports for lazy loading, you can manage the component map manually. Just remember, once you do that, you are responsible for keeping both files accurate and sync yourself. So to sum it up, component map.ts is your full registry used server side. Component map.client.ts is the lean client only subset used to keep your browser bundle fast and safe. Together they are what makes Sitecore AI's visual editing actually work with your React code. And that's a wrap up on this part. We covered sitecore.config.ts, sitecore.cli.config.ts and both component maps file, the real backbone of every Content SDK app. If this helped you, hit the like button, do share it with your friends and colleagues, And if you are new to the channel and yet not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to my Sitecore Diaries and drop your question below. See you in the next part. Thank you.